Good morning, children. In yesterday's session, we tried to introduce you the Mughal Empire, and in the homework also I asked you to write your favorite Mughal ruler. Most of you have written about Akbar, Akbar the Great, who is considered as your favorite Mughal ruler. But there are many prominent rulers from Mughal Empire, Mughal dynasty, like Jahangir or Shah Jahan, the person who built beautiful palaces and a marvel of Indian architecture, Taj Mahal. And coming to the relationship of Mughal rulers with the other rulers, we tried to understand yesterday. They defeated the king, and again they made the revenue collector of the same king in that area. Okay, the chief or the king, whoever revolted against him, they defeated him and they made to accept the authority. Today, let us see about the Mansabdar as well as Jagirdar. These are the two revenue assignments actually. Mansabdar and Jagirdar. These are the two revenue collectors. As the empire expanded to encompass the different regions, because vast kingdom it is. Delhi was their capital and the empire got expanded to many regions. So the Mughals started recruiting different kinds of people, and from a small nucleus of Turkish nobles, they expanded to include Iranians into their administration, and Indian Muslims, Afghans, Rajputs, Marathas, and other groups also they tried to include them into their administrative mechanism. So those who joined the Mughal service were called as Mansabdar. Mansabdar is nothing but it is a rank holder. It's a rank. Mansabdar he is called as. So they work directly under the control of the emperor. These Mansabdars will work directly under the control of the emperor, who could allocate any work to them. Any work in the sense guarding the palace or governing a province or conquering a new kingdom or suppressing a rebellion. Any kind of work may be given to them. They will be they will be directly under the control of the emperor. The Mughals designed a political system in which Mansabdars could not act independently but had to follow the ruler's orders. You may remember that Nayakas in Vijayanagara Empire, that means Amaranayakas in the Vijayanagara Empire could become independent, and they were powerful enough because they used to maintain their own army in the issue of Vijayanagara Empire or in the Kakatiya's situation. So these Mughals prevented this by constantly transferring the Mansabdars from one place to another place. For every 2 to 3 years, they used to be transferred from one new place to another new place, so that the Mansabdar could not get settled down and he can become powerful. If he stays in single place, he may become powerful in one place. So the Mansabdar's military responsibilities required him to maintain a specified amount of army with him. Cavalry, that is nothing but horse riders, should be maintained by him, and the Mansabdar brought his cavalry men for review every year also, and they used to get him registered with a brand, put it on them, and received money to pay them as a salary from the emperor. So a Mansabdar's son could not become a Mansabdar automatically, whereas in other system you have seen the Amaranayaka's son or his family will become immediately the next Amaranayaka. But whereas in the issue of Mansabdar, the Mansabdar's son will not become the Mansabdar directly. That is, the transfer of power was not hereditary, and the Mansabdar, the emperor decided whether to appoint the son of the Mansabdar as a Mansabdar or not will be decided by the emperor. In fact, he even took over all the property of the Mansabdar on the death of the Mansabdar. All the property would be taken away by the emperor. So Mansabdars received their salaries as revenue assignments called as Jagirs. For their salaries, what they used to give? They used to give as Jagirs and areas. So from these areas you have to collect the revenue that is equivalent to your salary. So like Vijayanagara Nayankaras, that is Amaranayaka system, but unlike the Nayakas, most Mansabdars did not actually reside to administer in their own Jagir. They could only collect the revenue, but they will not reside there. So they could only collect the revenue. So they will be sent by the emperor to any place in order to guard. This was collected for them by their servants, while the Mansabdars themselves served in some other parts of the country. So on their behalf, who will do that one? The Jagirdar. So the Jagir was administered by other officials directly under the emperor. these officials tried to ensure that Jagirdar's agents did not collect more from the farmers than permitted by the emperor. So the Jagirs too were constantly transferred for every 2 to 3 years, so that the Jagirdars also will not become powerful and strong against to the emperor. This arrangement was made by the Mughals. So it was during the period of Akbar's period, these Jagirs were carefully assessed how many Jagirs are there actually, so that their revenue was roughly equal to the salary of the Mansabdar. By the period of Aurangzeb, there was a huge increase in the number of Mansabdars, which meant a long waiting should be done before they received any Jagir. So these and other factors created a shortage in the number of Jagirs. As a result, many Jagirdars tried to extract more money from the farmers. Aurangzeb was unable to control these developments in the last year of his period, and the farmers therefore suffered tremendously. And Aurangzeb also has become weak because of this demand for more Jagirs. So what is Japt and Jamindar? We shall see in the next class, children. Thank you.